Hey there and welcome to my take on how to heal dungeons with the Scholar. This has actually been surprisingly very requested. I think that a lot of people are now interested in the Scholar given the Endwalker changes. And you know what? I am happy to fangirl about the Scholar and tell you all about how I do dungeons. But I do need to provide you with a very clear disclaimer. There will be dungeon footage for Endwalker in this video. I will not be verbally speaking spoilers, and so the audio is going to be safe. So if you want to avoid being spoiled, but want the content to really get what's going on, then I do recommend you either alt-tab away from the video footage or change tabs in Chrome or various techniques, like just anything to not view the footage. But I know that the footage is going to be very helpful to a lot of people, just as a demonstration of what I'm trying to mean. So yeah, getting into it with the Scholar rework, I figured that it was about time that I talked about how to approach dungeons in Endwalker. Given the Scholar has seen considerable changes and many people have asked me the question, I do think it's appropriate. This is going to be very condensed, however. I leave my subtle nuances about Scholar and healing in detail to my Ultimate Scholar guide here on YouTube or my website FFXIV, where I really hold back no details. So first up, which goes for absolutely every single healer in this game, is that your priority should be to contribute as much DPS as possible in all situations. Pushing the dungeon timer faster allows you to more efficiently grind, whether it's tomestones or whether it's leveling. Actually, in fact, I know many of you are looking to level Scholar, and in my experience over the years, the number one factor that goes into how fast a dungeon will be cleared is actually the healer DPS. Tanks are expected to be whacking things, DPS are expected to whack things, but a lot of the time you're going to notice that the healer's just going to spam Cure 1 on you. The amount of DPS a healer can contribute is very significant in speeding up a run. For the Scholar, Art of War and Broil being your major skills to do either AoE or single target damage, Art of War will always beat Broil at 2 or more targets. Broil only in single target situations. Apply Biolysis only when the target is going to survive for 15 seconds or longer, otherwise Broil is going to be better. Also remember that Art of War is instant cast and allows full mobility and double weaving. This is actually very important, and it's unironically why I prefer healing dungeons as a Scholar over even White Mage. But yeah, your ultimate dungeon goal is to quite simply spam damaging skills and weave off GCD abilities where necessary. Now, a note on Chain Stratagem, and I know some people might disagree with me, but due to its 2-minute cooldown nature, I don't simply use it on bosses and hold it the entire time. I will throw it out on significantly more dense mobs in the pack to help burn them down. It's not major, but I don't like sitting on and hence wasting a powerful cooldown. The average dungeon length for me is 15 or so minutes, and so that's going to be 7 Chain Stratagem. In terms of Aetherflow, generally speaking, I default to recommending it to only spend Aetherflow on energy drain when Aetherflow is back on cooldown, or just about off of cooldown. You don't want to wait until it's off cooldown, because then you're just into cooldown. You know what I mean. But you have remaining stacks and you need to get rid of them. That's when I would use energy drain. Any other Aetherflow spender I find significantly more powerful in the wide majority of dungeon instances. 100 damage potency on a single target will not be noticeable in a large pull, it won't, but illustrate when the tank's HP dips below optimal levels absolutely will be. Just to keep this as brief as I possibly can make it, I am going to keep the Aetherflow skill rundown in text form, but I am going to lightly be covering them when we're going over the actual strategies, the ones that you really should be looking out for. Now let's break down the actual scenario of getting through the dungeon. So first up is the tank pulling state. To collect the mobs up into a pack, which involves a lot of sprinting, a lot of running. Make sure that you sprint alongside the tank, and you can precast Adlo and precast Recitation with XCOG to get that on the tank and then have those cooldowns rolling, since XCOG lasts 45 seconds. However, you don't really have a great method to maintain the tank's health when they do excessively long pulls, so a tank that does not mitigate during the pull collection phase will be noticeable absolutely 100% for sure, especially on the Scholar. It's the number one healer. Even on Sage, I have an easier time managing this, but Scholar I'm finding the roughest. In Endwalker, I have noticed that the fairy will attempt to heal the tank as long as they do the pull, so long as the fairy is in range of the tank, and oftentimes the tank will be ahead of you and the fairy will be a little behind you, and so it's sometimes going to be a little janky. But even if the fairy does it, it's not going to be enough to manage the absolutely savage thumping that the tank is going to be quite honestly receiving. So if things get uglier, consider using Lustrate. Yes, that sucks, but sometimes it's necessary if a tank refuses to mitigate at this step. Another thing to consider is Swiftcast Adlo. Ideally, you shouldn't have to use Swiftcast on anything else, because Art of War's instant cast or off GCDs are instant cast. If your tank is going to die during the pull, why would you worry about saving Swiftcast for when the pull phase is completed. It's just a bad situation all around. But in terms of Adlo, Adlo is very powerful. It's a combined 840 potency of 300 base heal and then 540 barriers. To say the least, I can say that I really do notice it. It is very effective in getting the tank back up. At this point, you are either at or nearing the final tank destination. The final destination. Double tap Sacred Soil and place it down. Sacred Soil should be up 50% of the time with its low cooldown. I use it generally speaking off a cooldown during pulls. It really is one of your bread and butter skills as a scholar, if not the bread and butter skill, honestly. Other skills that I consider you're using off cooldown are Whispering Dawn, Protraction, and less so for bumping up the HP maximum, but more for the healing amp, and then Excogitation. Every second Excog should be enhanced with Recitation off of cooldown to make it an absolutely disgusting burst heal. Now, if Seraph isn't out and I don't have the tank tethered with Fey Union, I do consider popping Fey Blessing. It's a weak heal or not though, it's a trivial off GCD weave that really does help a little. Now here's where there's a bit more nuance, and it depends largely on the dungeon. It can also be impacted by how fast your DPS is going. Usually in large pulls, the first few seconds is the most intense, and so you want to line up your baselines that we just mentioned alongside something bigger. First up is Seraph, and this fairy is decimatingly strong. Don't underestimate it. Use Constellation when you can. AoE skill or not, it's a very solid additional healing boost. Do not overlook the power of this. I found myself pairing it with Fey Illumination sometimes, even though Fey Illumination is only healing magic, sadly, but I kind of felt bad sitting on Fey Illumination. Actually, I do have a bit of a plan with Fey Illumination, but I don't use it that often. That's why I say I usually pair it with Seraph, because in practice, that's what I usually have been doing. The second big thing, and this is huge, is Expedient, which I realize is level 90. I'm sorry guys, but I have to say Expedient, when you get it, is like, oh my god, which I'm finding pairs up insanely well with Fey Union. During leveling, Fey Union alone is kind of going to be your big contribution. Anyhow, we got off topic there. Is Expedient reduces incoming damage by 10% for 20 seconds, which stacks with Sacred Soil's 10% for a total of roughly 20%. Say that because we aren't 100% sure if they actually add up stacking wise. Still waiting for some of the formulas to be chugged out before making that call, but roughly you can imagine it being like 20% right now. Either way, I absolutely 100% notice it. But then you combine that alongside Fey Union with the precasted Whispering Dawn, Sacred Soil, and Protraction, and that can easily maintain even during the roughest pools. The nice thing about Protraction is it absolutely does impact fairy heals just because it's impacting healing actions. That's much different than healing magic potency. Healing magic potency is only spells, and then healing actions is going to be everything, including off GCDs, which makes Protraction beautiful. I suppose I could have said that in the Seraph section because that's... I don't know. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, I guess. Regardless, I'm sure that my insanity will help a lot of people. This combined together should easily heal through even the roughest pulls. However, if things get ugly and you don't have more ideal resources like Aetherflow to Lustrate or something like that, I would absolutely recommend Adlo. About Adlo though, I do not recommend, however, converting it to raw healing with emergency tactics here, because that barrier component makes the majority of Adlo's strength at 540 potency, which the strength of that is that it allows your plentiful heal over time effects to tick. And kind of while it might offend some people, I largely do view Scholar as a heal over time healer. You have the fairy ticking in the background, Sacred Soils ticking, Whispering Dawn ticking. It's a lot of value, massive value in fact, but you just need to give it the breathing room to function sometimes. And so splitting your own HPS, your total HPS between the barrier and the healing allows you to really let these have the breathing room. Like, you're opening up the lungs with that barrier. So emergency tactics is kind of defeating your own value really in that instance. Now let's talk about Dissipation, the monster in the room. Yet I've rarely been pushed to use it in dungeon content. I want to mention it here. It does happen though, but rarely. It amplifies your Adlo by 20% and gives you 3 more energy drains, or I mean Aetherflow stacks. Freudian slip if there ever was one. I'm actually going to leave that in editing. But if you ever run out of gas, consider using Dissipation. It is exceptionally strong. 3 Lustrates and a stronger Adlo will absolutely impact your ability to sustain a tank in an emergency pinch. In fact, I'm going to argue that Fey Illumination is better to pair here since you do gain that benefit from the 10% additional magic amp 2 to your Adlo. But yeah, taking a Forest for the Trees view now, the net gain is that you have at least 2 cycles on 2-minute cooldowns. answers roughly. We're looking between Seraph and between Expedient. We have big answers every 60 seconds, which is roughly each pull length, give or take, depending on DPS. Then we have the backup contingency plan with Dissipation if things go rough. There's honestly very little reason, if I'm being quite frank, to find yourself spamming Adlo in dungeons. Here and there, okay, but spamming it, no. Always, however, remember to maintain Sacred Soil, Whispering Dawn, Protraction, and potentially Fey Illumination here where possible to make sure that you get the largest value. Now that does it for this video. I really hope that this helps everyone. I know we got a lot of new scholars, very excited, and you know what, that makes me really happy because I've been playing Scholar for like a decade, and so you know what, I hope that everyone has so much fun. I really do. Take care and good luck.